At last we left this attempted Greta Gerwig Chronicles of Narnia adaptation. We left on a sour note of some really bad casting news. Now, that was dominating the headlines until HBO and Harry Potter decided to say, go ahead and hold my wardrobe and go with Black Snape. But the only thing that could theoretically supplant it, and I know that Harry Potter, at least right now, is far more popular than C.S. Lewis's masterwork, but on the grand scheme of things, like gender swapping Aslan, that's even worse than a Black Snape, okay? Like, this is, catastrophic stuff. And, since we last talked about this, I haven't heard hide nor hair about it. And everything kicked off at the beginning of April, which I thought we heard rumors of this just before April Fools, and then they really started to run hot after it. So, no, this wasn't a joke, even though letting Greta Gerwig near anything else after the atrocity that was Barbie is a joke in and of itself. But yeah, this is where we're at. This is where we're at right now, and we're just simply waiting for more news, because this is a film, and the first part, okay, I forget, I think they're going, Prince Caspian first, but yeah, of the two films that have been commissioned by Netflix, the first one is supposed to be going into theaters Thanksgiving Day 2026, and we don't know anything about this, okay? We don't have any names attached to this stuff outside of just Greta Gerwig production, Netflix money, beloved IP. Cool. Where have we seen this play out before? It's, I don't know, man. Like, I have a lot of love for this franchise. It is one of the first ones that I really delved into. I forget where I got turned on to Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but yeah, that was one of the first books that I recall reading. I'm sure that I read stuff beforehand, but a substantive fantasy work. I remember reading all of it. I think I read Prince Caspian, and I read The Last Battle because I read it. I just wanted to get all the way to the end of it because it was really fantastic. I have all of the works, paperback, color-coded works. I don't know where they are. I'm sure my parents probably have them, or maybe they got garage saled way back in the cut. But yeah, it was a complete series that I had at one point in time. I really liked the books. I would have loved to see this done properly. Disney's films, I didn't watch them because they were never really reviewed all that well, and that was at a point in time, in the late 2000s, early 2010s, where you could kind of rely on some critics' opinions because they were just always, they're fine, I guess. It's like some of the stuff is all right, but it's kind of underwhelming in comparison to the source material. And it's like, okay, cool. Maybe we'll check back in at like Voyage of the Dawn Treader when all this stuff, really starts to kick off. But no, it just ended up getting kneecapped after 3 movies or something like that. So to see what should now be, okay, in today's landscape, this should be high time for high fantasy, right? Like, the technology is caught up with the lofty concepts that were put to paper in 50, 60 years ago. We could finally see all of that stuff realized, okay? You got Game of Thrones, like that source material or not, and I like a hell of a lot of the stuff that I've heard from the people that have had nothing but time on their hands analyzing the A Song of Ice and Fire stuff and Game of Thrones at length, okay? If they could capture that stuff, there's no reason that there couldn't be an earnest try behind Chronicles of Narnia or anything that Tolkien has done. And guess what? Outside of Peter Jackson's trilogy, haven't seen anything live up or even get close to that standard in the subsequent 20 years since. And this right here, yeah, very much looks like it's just going to be another one of these disposable adaptations that'll infuriate people for a minute. Female Aslan, that's a big reason why people are just going to turn their nose up at this project. Black Snape, when HBO had the perfect opportunity to make something fantastic, to have the biggest show on earth, no, you just decide to jettison faithfulness to the source material for a whiff of modern dayism. We're getting the same thing over here, but you already knew that because this is a Greta Gerwig production. So we're just waiting. We're just waiting on casting news on that one. But the stuff that we're hearing behind the scenes, I mean, polls circulating, and yeah, people don't really have high hopes for this project. So yeah, of the 2 films that are commissioned, okay, Greta Gerwig has been given the green light on 2 of them. I'm pretty sure it's Caspian and Wardrobe. I think that's what she's doing. And then what happens after that, I don't know. But 65% of respondents extremely concerned about Netflix The Chronicles of Narnia adaptation. Yeah, that's not great. A poll conducted by popular Chronicles of Narnia fan site, yes, Narnia Web, which I've seen, oh boy, they are not at all happy with what they're hearing. In regards to the Meryl Streep rumor, oh boy. For as surface level as my understanding is or for the source material, especially in comparison to them, They're big mad about it, which is justifiable, okay? So yes, they're asking the purists, the people that Netflix is very obviously trying to target with this, and found that 65% of respondents are extremely concerned about Netflix's upcoming adaptation of C.S. Lewis's novels. Narnia Web conducted a poll on X and asked their followers, and after the recent report about Meryl Streep being in talks to play Aslan in the Netflix's Narnia, what is your overall feeling for the project? 5.2% of respondents said that they were really excited. 10.4% said that they were cautiously optimistic. 18.7% said that they were feeling pessimistic. And 65.7% said that they were extremely concerned. Yo, that's not good. Okay. However, a number of respondents to the poll requested an even lower option. One individual said, "Ready to go on a crusade, can that be an option?" Well, we're adapting C.S. Lewis after all, but why do you have to evoke Kingdom of Heaven? One of the most overrated films ever. RJ Stillwell, okay, also commented, "There's no option for us to put, or for us other than the lower one. If you're a Narnia fan and you don't hate this possibility with a passion, you're woke." That wouldn't go that far. Like, Meryl Streep could probably do a really good job. It's just a betrayal of the source material. And if Netflix was trying to peddle this as being, an opportunity to really extrapolate on this masterwork, yeah, you're lying. Just like HBO and Warner Brothers with Harry Potter. You're lying. It has gone, from extremely concerning to hopeless. Yeah, that's the same way that I thought about, just about everything at this point in time. We'll talk about something that's a little bit more near and dear to my heart now in the next video, because somebody's just deciding to pack it in on the back of, everything kind of sucks right now. It's not going to get better than it was, so why even bother? On top of conducting the poll, Narnia Web also instructed its readers to contact the production team for the show to make their concerns about the recent Aslan casting report. Hey man, the site instructed readers to please represent this community with calm compassion and respect for the cast, crew, and the staff. This is not optional. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Listen to contact information, they listed contact information for producers Mark Gordon, Amy Pascal. How does she... Okay, so she's going to be a part of the creative team for James Bond. Amy Pascal, we're talking here, the chick that was overseeing the Spider-Man-less Spider-Man universe over at Sony. And she also gave the green light to the 2016 Ghostbusters all-female remake. How does she continue to get work? And Vincent Sieber also listed employees of the C.S. Lewis Company, including Melvin Adams and Rachel Churchill. Finally, Netflix public relations employees and Emily Feingold and Sabrina Phillips were listed, as well as Netflix itself, which, you can go ahead and you can run a poll, okay? And that's just obvious, rapid response from what the fans and the expected fan base looks like. But what about the people that are working on the project? Maybe this will be a good story, and, female Aslan, it's super eye-rolling and it's a deal breaker for a lot of people, but maybe as a piece of work that is separated from the source material, maybe they'll be able to tell a good story. I don't know, man. I'm just assessing this in a vacuum, and then also, just putting out this hypothetical, because I don't believe that that's going to be the case at all. But we can make believe here for a second, okay? C.S. Lewis's stories always have a tinge of whimsy to them, so let's just indulge some hypotheticals here, shall we? Let's pretend that Greta Gerwig actually has some talent outside of just recycling feminist talking points. Let's just imagine that Aslan being whatever he or she needs to be to fit a narrative that some talentless hacks want to put to screen. Let's just pretend that doesn't matter at all. You could do a lot worse than Meryl Streep when it comes to casting somebody for a role, okay? Like, she's pretty much, top tier when it comes to talent, okay? For her being a voice actress, I don't necessarily think I've heard that before, but I'm not saying that she couldn't do it. She is incredibly talented after all, so it'll also come down to who else is going to be attached to this project, okay? Who are going to be cast as the kids? What are we going to be doing with Mr. Tumnus? I thought I heard some rumblings about Daniel Craig potentially being Mr. Tumnus. It's like, okay, cool, man, that's going to be kind of ridiculous, but I could kind of see it, right? He thought James Bond was too masculine and misogynistic, so being a goofy little wannabe, not centaur. Oh, Jesus, I've lost the term for it, but you can have goat legs and be a shepherd for some, preteens. I'm sure he'd really love that. Disappointing. And I know who's right over my shoulder right there. I know. I need to get a different picture. Need to find a better movie poster. It's coming. But that's for the people working on this, though. Okay, insiders allege Greta Gerwig and the Netflix's Narnia's Chronicles of Narnia Netflix's The Chronicles of Narnia adaptation is a train wreck. I mean, who could have possibly seen this coming? Hollywood insider who is allegedly working on Greta Gerwig and Netflix's production and adaptation of The Chronicles of Adaptation. And you thought that I overtalked some words. Chronicles of Narnia described it as a train wreck. The OneRing.net host, the OneRing.com host, really, and Tolkien analyst Michael Grumbine shared in an interview with on the Trent Report that his insider is tearing his hair out while working on the production. Which, yeah, in case you don't know, Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were very good friends for a long period in their life. I think they had a falling out towards the end. You know how Catholics and Protestants get. The discussion, the latest reports of Meryl Streep will play, yes, a sex-swapped Aslan in the outrageous perversion of C.S. Lewis's work. Grumbine stated, I know someone who's working on the, can't say much, Gerwig production, but he's tearing his hair out and trying his best as a Christian to help things, and it's a bad scene inside. Towards the end of the interview, he added, it's a train wreck internally. Well, I mean, yeah. Even just going back on the production of the Barbie movie, like, how long was that stuck in limbo? It took Margot Robbie's intense sway in the industry to get that thing moving. And as much as Meryl Streep is a legend, I don't know how engaged with this project she theoretically could be. Netflix has not revealed much about the film, but what we do know is it does not look good. First off, Greta Gerwig directing the film is a major red flag, given as she has made it clear that she adheres to feminist ideology and creates films to push feminism. Case in point, yes, described her latest film, Barbie, as a feminist film. She also worked on Disney's live-action Snow White film, but no, she has scrubbed any mention of her name on that, which I find to be hilarious, harkening back to Tolkien for a second. If you know anything about the development of the Hobbit trilogy, which was supposed to be a duology, but don't worry about that. You know, The Lord of the Rings was a trilogy. We could make the Hobbit a trilogy, even though you're adapting a book that has a little over 250 pages, depending on the version you have. But that wasn't supposed to be Peter Jackson's trilogy. That was supposed to be Guillermo del Toro's interpretation of The Hobbit. He ended up leaving or getting fired, depending on the reports that you hear, because Warner Brothers has always and will continue to be a stupid company. But PJ hopping in at the last minute, wanting a year or so to just go ahead and plan out the project, but it's like, no, we got a firm release date on this one, so you better get to work. Who cares if you don't have a script ready for Battle of the Five Armies? And, you know, hey man, if you could go ahead and finish up the script for, you know, Desolation of Smog 3 weeks before it hits theaters. Holy shit. Yeah, that would be great. We could just go ahead and do that. That's probably why An Unexpected Journey is the tightest film, because it has a lot of adherence to the source material. It blows a bunch of the stuff out, and it's completely and totally unrealistic, like the bastardization of the Goblin Town scene, and what they do with the Storm Giants is kind of ridiculous. But no, just go into the credits of the Hobbit movies, okay? All three of them right there, okay? When it comes to who wrote it, who produced it, who did the screenplay on it, you see Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, Peter Jackson, and also Guillermo del Toro on all three of those movies. Now, okay, he wasn't in the director's seat when they rolled film, or I guess shot digital and goofy frame rate, but whatever, regardless. Like, he was nowhere to be seen on that project, but he was still credited with it. Greta Gerwig was one of the first names associated with the Snow White project, but she has been scrubbed from all of that, and any time that she is asked about her contributions to that, she's like, oh, I just did a couple of passes on it, I did a couple of jokes, that's all, don't worry about it. I don't want that to negatively affect my career. But don't worry, you can do that by fumbling the bag with the Chronicles of Narnia adaptation. On top of hiring Gerwig, Amy Pascal is producing the film, and she claimed that, yes, Gerwig's movies will be a very new take on Narnia. It's all about rock and roll. Aside from Streep, the cast also appears dubious, with Daniel Craig having been offered a role, yes, albeit unclear who he might play. Charlie XCX has also been offered the role to play the White Witch. Fantastic. Yeah, this thing is going to be absolutely cooked. But yes, recent rumors indicate that Netflix plans to adapt the films in chronological order, beginning with the Magician's Nephew, which I think, is the 6th book published? Yes, rather than the order that they were written and published in, which is what most scholars and analysts recommend. Yes, because Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, then Prince Caspian, then is it Voyage, Silver Chair, Nephew, and then Last Battle? I think I might be missing one that's in there. But no, man, even my spotty recollection of this series is going to be more faithful than whatever Greta Gerwig does with it. I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think it's going to be good. I would love to hope beyond hope that it will, in fact, be something worthwhile, but I mean, how many people who loved Barbie back in 2023 still talk fondly about Barbie in 2025? Exactly. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.